Well, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to a very battery edition of Project Time Garage. We're back on the F2 Hoopty, which was our cheap $500 Ford F250 with a 7.3 Powerstroke. If you guys haven't seen that entire series, there's like 600,000 or 700,000 videos on this truck. There's like 6 or 7 videos on this truck. I'm going to put a link up here. Go check out the entire series. It'll blow your mind. So, you want your mind blown? Check out this series. Today we're back on this thing with battery cable problems. So, if you'll notice, we have the custom racing version of the battery cable hold downs, and while they do a pretty good job, they're not right. On this side, the battery cables, it's okay. On this side, somebody has put one of these junky strap ones that always ultimately fail. The factory positive lead has been so mangled and messed up that we're going to fix it. Basically what we're going to end up doing here is replacing these battery terminal ends, and we're going to do it the right way. I have another video on this exact same topic on my personal Ford F250 Powerstroke, and I got all kinds of comments on that video telling me all kinds of ways that I was doing things wrong. I'm doing this out of experience. I'm going to put a lot of this stuff to bed right now. Why don't you just buy replacement battery cables for this thing? Because they're expensive. Because they're like insanely expensive. Like insanely expensive. Before you comment that, go price them. Come back to me and tell me if the way I'm doing it is dumb. I've got like, I don't know, probably 40, 50 bucks in all this stuff, and it'll last the rest of my life, for sure. Also, if you're replacing all the battery cables on the whole thing, you're talking about a lot of work. Hell, the battery that goes down to the terminal that goes down to the starter alone, that's a pretty good size cable. It's like, kind of big right there. It's big cable. The other thing is, well, why don't you crimp or not crimp or solder or not solder or blah, 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 blah. Fact of business is, everybody's got their preference in the way of doing things, and we came up farming, and this right here will permanently fix battery cable problems, like forever. Military's been using these for about 600,000 or 700,000 years. Even before prehistoric times, military was using these. They work, and they're cheap. So that's what we're doing. Let's jump into this, and let me show you what you need to get. Now, I also got a ton of questions about where do I get these? How much do they cost? What sizes do I need? I'm going to save you all that too. If you will pause this video, don't stop it. You definitely want to finish watching it, but pause it. Scroll down with your little scrolly wheel down there in the video description where I tell you more about the video and offer t-shirts for sale and all that stuff. You'll see the link on Amazon where you can buy every bit of this stuff, including the tools that I'm using to do it. You won't have much money wrapped up in it, plus, you know, the tools and stuff you can use to do other projects. Highly recommend doing it this way. As far as what you're going to need, you need 2 sets of these battery cables. Again, I'm going to link them down below. 2 sets of the military style top post battery cables. As far as what you're going to need for lugs, this is a 4/0 lug, and that's going to go on this big cable here that goes down to the starter. That's a pretty sizable piece of plunder there. This is a number 2 here, and this is the one that will go over to the other battery, and this is a 2/0, and that's the one that's going to go here on this one. And then over on the other battery, we're going to have a number 2 that's going to go on this one, and then this one right here, which is a 2/0, to go on this one. In order to crimp these, you got 2 different options that you can choose. We've got a hydraulic crimper that you basically just take the lug and feed it in there and pump it up, and it squishes it and makes a mechanical crimp. Or you can use this. This is a hammer lug crimper. And the idea behind this thing is you raise it up, you put your little lug in there, you set it back down, you put your cable in the lug, and you take a hammer and you smack it, and that crimps it down. Either is fine. They both work just about as well as the other. I don't really love the final result of these necessarily, but they work. The end result is they work. These are a little bit of a cleaner, way of doing it. So, all right, anyway, let's fly into this. It's really a fast thing. I think it takes longer to get set up than it does to actually do the work. So let's go. Also keep in mind when you're unhooking these batteries on the diesel batteries, or the ones that have any vehicle that has 2 batteries, when you unhook this right here, if the other side is still hooked up, then this is still hot. Just keep that in mind. In this case, my lovely assistant has unhooked the other battery, so we're safe. I'll start with this negative since it's the worst one, and we're just going to use side cutters and cut it. And you may have to have some serious side cutters because this is some serious cable. What are you talking about over here? Oh, so if you're talking to me or yourself, but it sounds like you're answering your own questions pretty well. I'm just going to use these little scissors in order to split this casing back with. It's cold outside. That makes this job really hard because all this stuff is just freezing. All right, the trick now is to get all this stuff to go in here. Okay, and that's what you end up with as far as a crimp goes. Now, this is a 2-aught end, but this is a single-aught die, but it works just fine. And from here, your battery cable goes on, and then you lose that nut, and you find that nut, and then it goes back on here, like so. And when the battery cables are in their final resting spot and all that, we'll tighten all this completely down. Actually, and then also it probably wouldn't hurt if we slide this on there too. So, back off it comes. We'll slide this through here. Then this. Then this. And when we're all said and done, this will be all covered up. On to the next one. You have to cut these sometimes in little bitty chunks, but it works. So on this one, the number 2 works fine. Pull out our number 2 die. These things just pop in and out like that. Set our 2 in there. And on these tools, it's like a bottle jack. You have to tighten them, tighten up the thingy, technical term thingy. I'm going to get it really close here with my little thumb, or my pinky, and then we can finish crimping it down. There we go. And there's our crimp. Put this back over it. Now you can go ahead and put like some shrink wrap tubing on it. But these boots extend back far enough that, nobody's going to fault you if you don't. Put this on, and this on, and this on. And we'll wait, go to the next side. Over here on the passenger side, I've got 2 wires on this ground here. The grounds on these bad boys are serious. Let's see, I'm gonna get a little bit more length on this one. I'll go ahead and just take my dull pocket knife and split this. Ooh, there's a lot of flaky coming out of there. I hate how this is green. So I'm going to try to get something and clean this up a little bit because, it just makes for a better connection if it's a little cleaner. Probably not much you can do with it, but you might be able to do some with it. I'm probably not doing a whole lot for this, but I'm at least going to take a wire brush and brush some of this stuff off. Try to get as much good metal as I can, but you know. All right. And you're always going to have a couple of little hairs hanging out. It's just the way it is. All right, so there's that one. Then we have this other little wire here that we're going to have to deal with too. So go ahead and strip him back. On these, we're just going to use a little shrink ringlet on it and just a pair of crimpers. Most guys have this kind of stuff in their toolbox anyway. Oh, okay. No, we're not. What just happened there on the end of these, they've got it where you can't stick the wire through proud. So we're going to fix that on the next one we do. I wish my knife was sharp. Of course, if my knife was sharp, I'd probably be hurt by now. All right, so I've opened the end of that up some in order to try and get the wire to stick all the way through it this time. If it will stick all the way through it. There, now the wire sticks up flush. There, that's a good connection on that one. Take our boot, pop him on there, and the cool thing about, since these wires come from different ways, the cool thing about this little solution is, oh, something else maybe I should tell you too. This right here doesn't quite fit, but I use it anyway because it has more meat than the bigger ones. And what you can do is you can take your any kind of end cutter like this and split it and just basically open it up ever so slightly until your bolt will actually go through it. Doesn't take much usually. And we'll just do it like this. And then at least we know we have as much metal as we can possibly have touching it. But anyway, what's cool about these is you can put one end from this side and the other end from this side. So that's kind of cool. There. And we'll tighten that up when we're done too. And it'll fit pretty well, like that. All right, moving out of the way. Now for the big boy. This one is just a pain to do. Simple as that. It's just big wires and a lot to deal with here. There we go. That one free. And now this one, which is by far the worst one in the whole truck to have to deal with. There's actually two wires in here too, so keep that in mind. Yep. One of them goes to the glow plugs, and one of them goes down to the starter. Some of this back, and I'll show everybody what I'm talking about. All right, so there, if you can see what's going on here. The big lead goes down to the starter, and the small lead goes over and feeds the glue plug relay. So we'll pop that one loose. In order to cut this a little bit more effectively and efficiently, and in order not to tear it up so bad, I'm going to go ahead and just use a cutoff wheel on it. Before I do that, I want to tape it just to try to save as many little hairs as I can. There we go. Now, this won't make any sparks because it's not metal. Just kind of hold it apart like that. See if I can cut it as clean as I can. There, that's at least a bit of a cleaner cut. Plus it warms it up some, makes it a little easier to deal with because it's kind of cold out here today to be doing this stuff, honestly. All right. Put some tape on this just to kind of hold it in place while I crimp it. All right, there's that, crimped. All right, moving along. That is an ugly cable right there. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Yep, I figured I would have. Teddy, well, the smallest one I got is what you need. The smallest one I got is one you need. Oh. Oh, great. I screwed up and burned one of my eyelets accidentally. So that's where I'm at. Put all this stuff on.
Just snug them?
Yeah. Well, I do snug plus a little bit.
The smaller ones are 13.
Yeah.
The bigger ones are 14.
In just a minute, I'll give you my 13. There's the 13.
You only have one?
Yeah, that's all it took. Other side's captive. Moment of truth. Will it start or did we completely destroy it forever? Well, it seems like it started pretty good to me. That is the finished product. That's the driver's side battery. And there's the passenger side battery. And you can see what we did there for that for this connector here. I actually accidentally used one of them and didn't crimp it right, so I had to go find something else in my stash. But anyway, that's what it looks like. Okay, so that's the way I take care of battery cables on things, on pretty much everything. Like I said, since I was a kid, we did this kind of repair on stuff, and they've last, I'm 50 now, so they've lasted all these years. So that right there is going to outlive me and probably most everybody else out there watching this video. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it. Like I said before, I'm going to leave all the links down in the description to Amazon where you can find all this stuff. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. See you next time.